Hey, everybody, welcome. This is Jason Clemmons, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, and this is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. And we are back and we are live. So I missed you guys last week. Thursday and Friday, had to do some encore shows on the radio and didn't have a show on any of our social media stuff for Thursday and Friday because I did I did two crazy things. One of them was fun and one of them was just crazy. So I messed up and got I just got all messed up on Thursday. I thought we were supposed to have a Christmas party at the radio station, and boy, did I mess that one up because I was a week late. They had the Christmas party the week before, and so that was my fault, 100% mistake on my fault, and my fault. So, but we got set up to do some encore shows. Bob got us all set up. And so we got that done on Thursday. And then Friday, I was out of town. And one of the cool things that I get to do is participate in my kids' lives, even now. So I love my kids, and they're good kids, and we get to participate in the things that they do. And so I've got a son who is a TCU graduate. He's a musical theater kid. He's a super talented kid, really smart. And he is working on some things on Broadway, and he is also the theater teacher at Pascal High School. And so they put on The Sound of Music on, I guess they started on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So Leslie and I, we went to the Metroplex this weekend and saw my son's show. For you guys that are in Littlefield, I apologize that I wasn't there on Saturday, but I will get with you guys and go over all of the findings that we had from the screening that we did on Littlefield. Our team went to Littlefield and did a great job, a fantastic job, really, getting everything set up and taking care of the people over there. And so I'm really proud of our team for what they did. And I set that up before I realized what Dave Jacobs' theater show was on. And so, you know, life, I talk about this all the time, is what we do is the things that we value the most. The things that are highest on our value system is the thing that we're going to spend our time, energy, talent, money, all that stuff on. The things that we value the most, the things, our definitions, we create strategies to live out our definitions, and we create, we live our life through our value system. And so there's nothing really more important to me in the world than Leslie and my kids. And so they kind of trump things. So we went and listened to The Sound of Music, and they're just doing such a great job. They're taking these kids that haven't really had a structured theater program, and they're really doing a good job with them. I think they said 105 kids or something participated in this winter show that they did. Sound of Music. They had the kids from the orchestra and the band and the choir and the dancing girls, and it was the whole group, and they really did a good job. They put on a good show. So that's what we did this weekend, and we did a little Christmas shopping while we were there, and got to go spend some time with Leslie. So it was a great weekend for me. It was a great weekend for me. And if you guys ever get a chance to go to, if you're ever in the Metroplex, and because someone asked me today, what do you like to eat when you're in the Metroplex? And I said, my favorite place is a place called the La Hacienda Ranch. And they are not sponsoring this show tonight. And this is just a free plug for those guys. But it's called the La Hacienda Ranch. It looks like a log cabin if you guys have never seen it in the Metroplex. But it's a Mexican Tex-Mex type of place. Great atmosphere, got a fireplace going all, in the wintertime. And it's just they got like a bar in there with TVs and when you first walk in, but then the restaurant part is good. But they have a plate at La Hacienda Ranch. It's called Fajita Lights. And for a restaurant type of place, it is fantastic. What they do is they add zucchini, squash, mushrooms, cauliflower to the fajitas. So, and I don't like the onions and the peppers, so I make them take the onions and the peppers off my fajitas, and then they bring you that sizzling plate of steak and chicken that is with all those vegetables on it, and it is delightful. It it is so awesome. We ordered 2 orders, Leslie and I. We usually split an order, but we were so hungry and we were so excited about that plate that we went and we had some fajita lights at La Hacienda Ranch on Friday night. And man, I'm telling you, it's if I don't know why a place in Lubbock. I tried to get Uncle Julio's in Lubbock to do that one day, and they kind of did it right. But anybody that runs a Mexican food place out there in Lubbock, man, I would endorse you. I would tell all my friends. If I'd put it up in my office about if you'd make a plate of fajita lights, add the vegetables to the meat. There's nothing toxic about it, other than maybe if they cook those vegetables in some sort of corn oil or something. And of course, it's not grass-fed meat, but if they would do that, if they would make a grass-fed steak fajitas, not cooked in oil, on a plate of vegetables, on a fajita plate that's sizzling when they bring it to you, man, we would make that the opening. Can y'all tell I'll be ready for supper when when this night is over? Get this show over with. We'll talk about that, but I don't know if you guys like to eat, but I mean, you can go to places and you can make good choices and you can eat delicious food. Just took me a lime and I just like squished that lime all over the top of all those vegetables, and man, it was great. It was delicious. I was so glad we got that. It was hard to find some good food in the other spots, but we managed, and took a bar with me and some nuts. And so we got through the weekend. It was fun. And you can do that. You can travel to the weekend. You can go have a great time. You can see your kids. You can do all those things that you want to do, and you don't have to toxify yourself with a bunch of crazy food. So it was good times. So, man, we were busy today at the Rock. We were solid busy since 6 a.m. We've been rocking all day long. And when we have these type of days, a lot of things show up. And so I just want to take the show tonight and just answer. I want to talk about some of the questions that people brought up today, some of the conversations that we had. We didn't have a lot of time to talk because we were busy all day long, but there were some conversations that were brought up today that I thought were really important, and I just thought I would just bring some of the conversations, bring them back up just a little bit. And one of them, and I know you guys that are listening to the show on a regular basis, you're going to be able to tell them all about this memorized. But one of them was about fish oil ratios. And where do I get the information that I bring you? It's from, what are we in? This is 2024. This is 15 years of study. It's 15 years since I went, and that's not counting the information I got during chiropractic school, which would make, I'm in my 20th year of practice. I started chiropractic school in 2002, so I guess that's 22 years ago, and that we're finishing right now. But when I go to a Dan Murphy seminar, this is what I get. I get a notebook that's this thick. You guys on the radio obviously can't see how thick this notebook is, but it's what are these? That's a 2-inch 3-ring binder, and it's just solid. It's just solid research, one after the other, after the other, after the other, of solid research. And that's where I get my information. And so, like and what Dan does is he'll give you like 4 or 5 pages in a row of, like, here's Primal Nutrition by Ron Schmidt, and The Art and Science of Low Carb Living, Spark by John Rady, Paleocardiologist, The Brain's Healing Way by Norman Doidge, The Paleo Answer by Lauren Cordain, Brain Maker, Blue Zones, Wheat Belly, Oil Pulling Therapy, Alzheimer's Disease, The Magnesium Miracle, The Magnesium Factor, Brain Lipids and Disorders of Biological Psychiatry, phospholipids disorder. You see what I mean? It's like these are all books of the omega-3 connection. And what Dan does is he is a research guru. And what he does for me, a clinical guy, is he spends his life teaching seminars and studying research. And then he brings it together and shares the research with us. He doesn't tell us what we're supposed to do, but he just brings it to us and says, okay, like here's what the research says. And it's always, for 22 years now, since 2009, for 15 years now, he's always 3 or 4 years ahead of the curve. So I'm always getting the information from Dan, and then about 3 years from now, I'll hear it in mainstream information, like mainstream teaching and talk and all that sort of thing. I'll hear the things that I heard 3 years ago from Dan. And so it takes a little bit of time to catch up. But what Dr. DeMartini taught me somewhere along the way was we don't have time for it to catch up for us to keep going. We got to keep going. Well, we just got to, eventually this stuff is going to catch up with us in wellness. And it really, Dr. DeMartini is right. It really has. From the first day I got my chiropractic license in 2005, in February of 2005, so I'm going to be starting my 21st year here in February. I'm finishing up my 20th year. From the time I got my chiropractic license until now, there has been a tremendous amount of catching up. You start to hear Casey Means, if you guys know who that is, or you start to hear Robert Kennedy Jr., or you're listening to Dr. Huberman talk about stuff, and all these guys that are talking about things that the chiropractic wellness profession has been talking about for a long time, a really long time. And so I'm not bragging about it. I'm just telling you the way it is. And so it's cool for me to learn from Dan, and Dan's the one that he brought it. So somewhere in all of this research and all these books is the idea of having the two things that are important in fish oil. And I went over this morning, but I just want to just go over it real quickly. So the two things that are important, because when you look on a bottle of fish oil, you just look at the back of it, and it'll say EPA, DHA, and this one has DPA, which is a different form. But I don't really care about the DPA at all. I really care about the EPA and the DHA. And according to Dan, what we want is we want a 2-to-1 ratio. What does a 2-to-1 ratio mean? EPA over DHA. What it means is for every 1 milligram of DHA, you want 2 milligrams of EPA. You want twice as much in the ratio inside the oil. And when I had this conversation last week, one of my guys he's a working dude, and he's a businessman, and he's a smart dude. And when I talk about fish oil, he just kind of discounts it a little bit because I've been taking care of him for several years. And he just now this week, just today, really, finally got it. And I said, look, stop for a second. If we were in your business and we were talking about the details of your business, you would break down the details of your business to me all the way down to the bare bones of it, right? You would break down what you guys that are listening to the show tonight. If you're on the radio and you're driving down the highway, or if you're at home and you're doing whatever, or if you're watching me on social media or whatever, there is something that you do that you know detailed information about. I guarantee it. You might crochet, and I don't know anything about crocheting. Nothing. Not maybe one sentence, the little hook, and you go through a pattern. That's about it. Okay? Don't even know how to load the hook or what you're supposed to do or what kind of yarn you're supposed to use or if you even use yarn. See, the more sentences I talk, the less I know about it, right? But you might know everything there is to know. You might be a worker that works in the oil field and you're driving home tonight. You might be somebody that teaches math in 7th grade. Like, I don't know what you do. All you people out there, there's millions of you, I'm sure, that are watching this show tonight. There's something that you are extremely, extremely detailed about. Okay? But now when I present to you the breakdown on the ratios of fish oil, it's new and unknown and a little confusing. And what your brain tends to do is your brain tends to want to shut it out. It's like, it's not important to me. I'm not thinking about it. I don't care. I don't really understand what he's saying anyway. I'm not taking that stupid stuff. Whatever, right? Whatever those things are that go through your brain. And what happens is you block that information. And what I want you to do for a second is I want you to take a breath in, and I want you to really just stop for just a second. Don't stop if you're on the road, but just stop for just a second and just understand what EPA and DHA are. Just stop. Because I guarantee you, if you were teaching me how to make pancakes or biscuits or stuffing for Thanksgiving or whatever, if you're a cook, you would break it down and you would know. You would tell me that you know exactly how much flour and oil and whatever sugar you're supposed to make to make a pancake, right? Just stop. EPA is anti-inflammatory. It's anti-inflammatory. What is an anti-inflammatory? An anti-inflammatory balances an inflammatory. And that's not a word. I just made that up, okay? Something that creates inflammation in your body. And what does inflammation in your body mean? Inflammation in your body means that your joints hurt. Inflammation in your body means that you're stiff. Like you can't bend over and touch your toes because you're stiff. That means that your knee is flared up. That means that your shoulder is flared up. That means that you have like liver problems because of inflammation. That means that the blood vessels in your body are flared up, right? That's inflammation in your body. So how do you get rid of inflammation? Well, what do you take? You take an NSAID. You take a Tylenol or an Advil or an ibuprofen or whatever your thing is, right? An aspirin. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. That's what those things mean. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. Anti-inflammatory. Where is the inflammatory part coming from? The inflammatory part is coming from the omega-6. The omega-6 is inflammatory. It causes inflammation in your body. Now, is there ever a time that you need inflammation in your body? Absolutely. Have you ever stepped on a nail or scratched your leg with a wire? Like I grew up on a horse ranch. Like it might be undoing a bale of hay or something like that, and a piece of that baling wire scratches your hand. So what happens when it scratches your hand? It gets red and a little bit puffy right there. What happens when you sprain your ankle in the middle of a basketball game or stepping off of a curb or whatever? You sprain your ankle, what's going to happen? Your ankle's going to swell up. It's going to get hot and red. It's going to be inflamed. Yes, there are times in our life where we need inflammation in our body. There are times that we need that inflammation, right? So we need a little bit of sixes. So inside the body, it's okay. What we look for, we want omega-6 to omega-3 to basically be a 1-to-1 ratio or maybe even a 3-to-1 ratio. That's fine. 3-to-1 is fine. Even if you could get by if it was 5-to-1. If it was 5-to-1, it would be a little bit, but it'd be okay. Right? What is the average American? 25 to 1. 25 to 1. Why is it 25 to 1? Because you know how hard it is not to go to La Hacienda Ranch and not eat the chips? Do you know what they cook the meat in? Oil, corn oil. What is corn? 84 to 1. Omega-6 to omega-3. What is peanut butter? 4,400 to 1. Omega-6 to omega-3. See, we're eating in our diets high inflammatory foods. We're eating high inflammatory foods. And we're eating too much of the inflammatory foods, which is making us inflamed. And then as soon as we go and do something like a workout, or as soon as we work out in the yard all day long, our shoulder hurts. Why does our shoulder hurt? Because it's inflamed. And why is it inflamed? Because we probably had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch or whatever. You see what I mean? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get rid of this inflammatory physiology that's inside of our body. And so what do we need to take? Anti-inflammatories. Now, you can take an NSAID. 18,000 people a year die from Tylenol. I never heard of anybody in my life dying from fish oil. Never. Not one person did I ever hear that die from fish oil. Maybe a person that was allergic to a fish, they might die if they ate a fish. Okay. Maybe if you fell out of a boat and a tuna came by and stabbed you with his big old long, spiky nose or whatever that thing is, sword, like maybe a swordfish, maybe you got eaten by a shark. Okay, that's way that you might die from a fish, but not from this. But 18,000 people die from Tylenol every year, and nobody ever says, ever says anything about that. It's like look it up. See if Tylenol is not the number 2 cause of kidney disease in the United States. See if that's a true statement, right? So in my life, I'm not interested in this NSAID problem. I'm not going to take the anti-inflammatory drug because I'm going to take the fish oil. And inside the fish oil, there's 2 things: the anti-inflammatory part and the brain synapse part. That DHA is for your brain. And we talk about brain all the time on this show. Constantly we talk about brain, right? Your brain controls every single cell and tissue in your body. If you don't believe me, just cut your brain off from your body and see how that works. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Christopher Reeve did that. Cut his brain off from his body, right? They pronounce you dead in the hospital when you're brain dead. When your heart stops, they restart your heart, and then they put you on a machine that keeps you alive for as long as the machine's on. You ever heard them say, yeah, this person's, they're brain dead. We need to unplug the machine. You don't ever hear them say, we're keeping them alive from their brain. No, once their brain is dead, once your brain is dead, you're dead. You're finished. So you need nutrients in your brain. You need toxins out of your brain, and you need them in a ratio of, and what I think, based on what I've learned from Dan and all these books, is I think you ought to get your fish oil in a 2-to-1 ratio. Now, is that a hard science? No, it's not. It's not a hard science. Can you get your ratio down by taking other fish oil? Yes, you can. And we test it that way. That's what we want to know. We test it. And then when we test it, it tells us what your ratio is. And then it lets us determine how much of this you need to take. But if you are a person that eats, you stop at Allsup's or Buc-ee's. I stopped at Buc-ee's yesterday. Crazy place, right? Looked at the Buc-ee's nuggets. You know what the first ingredients in a Buc-ee's nugget was? Brown sugar. Brown sugar, then corn syrup. Corn 84 to 1 corn syrup. You know what's in this? You know what's in this little dude right here? Our favorite little DP drink. You want me to read the ingredients for you? The ingredients: carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup. right? There you go. So there was 15 grams of sugar per serving, and there were 9 servings in a little bag that big. Whatever 15 times 9 is, which is 6 times or 4.5 times 30. So 135, I think. Whatever that is. That's some crazy math. But we that stuff is inflammatory, right? So we want a 2-to-1 ratio in our stuff. So what do? I look at every fish oil bottle on the earth. I've gone to every store. I've gone to HEB. I've gone to United. I've gone to Kmart. I've gone to Walmart. I've gone to GNC. I've gone to all the places, and I just go in there and look at their fish oil. Where is it? Where is it? What I want to know. Why do I pick Natural Factors, RX Omega Ultra Strength? For one simple reason. One reason. The DHA on the back of this is 670, and the EPA is 1360. Now that's 40 milligrams off, because if you double 670, you'll get 1340. So that's 20 milligrams off of being 2-to-1 ratio. That's the closest I can find with 2-to-1 ratio. I found one other bottle on that one of my patients sent me from ordering on Amazon, and I was like, okay, that's totally fine. It's totally fine. But I've got all kinds of pictures on my phone. Oh, man, we got didn't run through the first part of the show. I'll see if I can find some of these pictures during the break, and I'll show you a few of them so that you know the difference. So that when you decide to take your fish oil, which you will eventually, you'll know exactly what to take. You guys hang around, and we'll be right back right after these messages. All right, let me see what I can find here. Let's see. Because I get I get people send this to me all the time, and you can send it to me. If you're watching the show right now and you take fish oil and you don't know, just text it to me. 806-794-0400. Just text me the back of your fish oil bottle where it says the ingredients on there, and just send it to me in a text. 806-794-0400. I've got all kinds of I don't even know how to get to all the pictures that people send me, because I've had all kinds of people send me their fish oils and how much they take, and I'll break it down for them. But it's so confusing. It's so confusing about knowing exactly which one we should take. And I know we talk about it constantly on the show, but I just think sometimes that if you can stop for just a second and just understand what it is, and then how much do you need to take? Okay, the statement that brought this whole conversation up was, man, I'm just inflamed. You know, doc, I think my problem is I'm inflamed because my shoulder hurts. My shoulders hurt for months, and now my shoulders feel better, but my low back is killing me. And I can't get my low back to quit killing me. And so I just think I'm inflamed. And I'm like, okay, but what does that mean? Why are you inflamed? How do you make inflammation in your body? You got to get arachidonic acid, right? You got to get arachidonic acid to make inflammation in your body. I don't know. I got so many of these. Let me see. Okay, everybody. We're back. This is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. We're just talking about conversations that we had in the office today. This isn't the picture I was wanting to show you, but it'll do the job. Okay, because this is one of the things that I talk about right here. These are just random people that I've tested. And if I tested yours, and speaking of random people that I've tested, yeah, she sent them to me right here. And um, let's see. Yeah. So this is crazy. Um, you know who you are that just sent this to me. Is this the one that you take only all the time, or do you take it? Is this two different bottles that you're sending me? Is that the only fish oil that you take? And I'll share it. Or do you take a different one? Because this is going to be really interesting if you don't. If it's the only one you've ever taken, and if you, because here, let me see if I can download this and I'll put it on the screen. See if I can share. I'll share this when you saw. I got a fish oil sent to me, and I'm gonna try to post it if I can get it to the computer. And just so you'll know, I need to find out something right quick though. So let me send a text back. Because this is going to be super interesting for you guys. If this is the case. And I don't even know how they did this actually. And so I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you because this person right here, that's 2.4 to 1. She's the one that just sent me a picture. And I don't believe this could be the only one she's ever taken, but she's typing me back right now. So because this will blow your mind once you see it. This is the back of her fish oil bottle right here that she's sending me. And this EPA right here is that's 1 gram. Never mind. I was flipping out right there. I was like, there's no way. Yeah. Thank you for your text. I read that as 1 milligram. And I was like, there's no way she takes 670 DHA, but 1 gram of EPA. I was like, I don't even know how you can get 1 gram of EPA in your fish oil. I mean, 1 milligram. No, that's 1 gram. That's 1,000 milligrams. So she's at a 67% ratio, right there. That's basically a third, right? So she's taking a 2/3, 3-to-2 ratio is what she's taking on this, because that says a gram right there. EPA is 1 gram and DHA is 670 milligrams. Okay, so if this is the one you took, so it's not in a 2-to-1 ratio, because if you doubled the 670 that's on there, then that's the same thing that's in this bottle is 670, and so then you would get 1340, right? So you get 1340 milligrams would be how much DHA you're taking. And then she's taken 1,000 milligrams of EPA. And so it's not in a 2-to-1 ratio, but here's the point. I've tested her. And every single time I've tested her, she is the number 1 tested fish oil person. Nope. I have 3 of them that are in that same category. She's in the top 3. She's in the top 3 of people that I've tested with fish oil to check her inflammation. And that's her score right there, is that 2.4 to 1. But this is just the normal people walking on the street, right? This is the people that we tested. This was my argument during COVID. This is why if you had someone that died of COVID, they were over here in the red. You could say no healthy people died from COVID. Or you could say, no, wait a minute. You could say he was perfectly healthy and he died from COVID. No, he was not. Healthy people don't die from COVID. Healthy people do not die, period, unless they get run over by a truck or shot or fall off a mountain or something like that. Healthy people don't die from disease or stuff like that. Here is what the problem was, and this was the cytokine storm, the life-threatening cytokine storm involving the release of pro-inflammatory cytokines, tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin 6, interleukin 1, interleukin 8, may contribute to rapid systemic organ failure, right? That's what happens when we're inflamed. You're having trouble right now with your asthma, you're having trouble with your breathing, you're having trouble with your immune system, you're having trouble in the middle of the winter. Some people are and some people aren't, right? And people that are at the top of this list aren't having near as much trouble as the people down here at the bottom of this list. And so this is the part: vegetable oils, grain-fed animals, peanut butter gets you arachidonic acid. Now, your body makes arachidonic acid as well, but you can add to your arachidonic acid load by eating these sorts of things, which are the COX enzymes carries the arachidonic acid through the process, and you end up with prostaglandins, which is pro-inflammatory. Okay? Now, I know I've gotten too complicated, but that's the process. What is an NSAID? A non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug is a COX inhibitor. It's the medical model's way of saying, let's take this COX enzyme and block it. Let's just eat all of this stuff up here that we want to, because we can't tell people don't be eating all that stuff because we might mess the economy up. And my brother's a farmer and my best friend's a farmer and they grow peanuts, and you can't tell people don't eat peanuts. Like, my next patient might be the guy that sells the food to the local store down here. It happened to me about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He came in and got adjusted, and I was telling the patient on the other side of the wall, hey, don't be going down there and eating that garbage. And then he's like, hey, don't tell people not to go eat the garbage. And I'm like, nope, can't do that. I got to tell them that. Don't worry about me. People are going to eat the garbage. Trust me. But as long as we eat this stuff, we end up with inflammation. And if we want to decrease our inflammation, we got to get this right. Now, let's talk about, I know this was fast. Sometimes I get fired up when I talk about fish oil, but all right, let's slow down just a second. Let's slow down. Y'all don't have to slow down. I'll slow down. Okay, EPA and DHA is what is in omega-3, which is what we get from fish. Now, look here. I'm not in love with fish oil. I'm in love with the idea of what that does right there. So you don't have to take any fish oil if you eat fish. Good, wild-caught fish came first. Fish oil came second. People 500 years ago didn't have bottles of fish oil. What they had was fish. Fish will do the trick if you don't want to take the fish oil. But that's omega-6. Omega-6 is EPA and DHA. You want it in a 2-to-1 ratio, and you want a baseline of 1,000 milligrams a day of DHA in your brain. Per day, a baseline. It's like, how much air do you breathe? How much water do you drink? How much protein do you get? What are all those things, right? You know all those things. You know all those things, you ought to know how much DHA you get in your brain every day. And you want a baseline of 1,000 milligrams, which is going to give you 2,000 milligrams of EPA, which is going to give you a total of 3,000 milligrams. Now, this bottle right here, this Natural Factors RX Omega bottle, if you take 3 of these pills a day, you will get that right there. Now, if you have any other problems, if you're dealing with any other health problems, if you're dealing with polycystic ovaries, if you're dealing with polycystic kidneys, if you're dealing with depression or dementia or Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or anything else, you need to go up from 3,000. What does that mean? Take 6 of these things a day. What? I told my guy this morning, you need to take 6 of those pills a day. You're inflamed. And he was like, are you kidding me? 6? And I'm like, no, I'm not kidding you. And that's not like asking you to do 875 push-ups a day. I'm not asking you to run a marathon every day. I'm not asking you to build a watch every day. I'm simply saying, open the bottle of your fish oil, pour it in your hand, pour 6 of them in your hand, and then you can like split them in half if you want to, and then put the 3 of them and just put it in your mouth and drink a drink of water. That's it. That is how simple it is to take 3 fish oil. And then you just take the other 3 and just put them in your mouth and drink some water. That's not complicated. That's not hard to do. It's like, it's 5 or yes. Why? Because you're inflamed. You can't have this much inflammation and take this much fish oil and say it's going to help you. And you will do that, and then you know what you'll report back to me? You'll report back to me that I took fish oil once and it didn't make any difference at all. That's just stupid. I don't think it helps at all. And I'm like, this is called gravity. And if you pick your pencil up and you drop your pencil, it doesn't make any difference if you believe in gravity or you don't believe in gravity, or if you don't even believe that the earth is round or the sun is there or any of that stuff. None of that stuff matters. You know what? Because it's gravity. That's the way it works. And that's the way fish oil works too. That balance is super important. And if you are having trouble, go up. Can you overdose on fish oil? Never heard of it. Dan Murphy took 18,000 milligrams of fish oil to get rid of polycystic kidney disease. He recommends 25,000 milligrams of fish oil for bipolar depression or schizophrenic. 25,000 milligrams of fish oil for that, right? Go up until you get your ratios right. And then you can test them in your blood. You can finger prick test them, okay? That's your omega-3, EPA to DHA. That's what it's for. Anti-inflammatory and brain, and that's what you want. And then understand that there is omega-6, which is inflammatory. It gives you inflammation. And omega-3, which is this stuff up here, is anti-inflammatory. Inflammatory. Okay? Anti. So, what do we want this to be inside our body? We really don't want any more than 3-to-1 ratio. I've had 85-to-1. What's this one say right here? This is one we've actually tested. These are patients in my office. There's 35-to-1 is the highest one right here. 35-to-1. You know what she had? MS. She had MS. And you can't get her to take enough. It's like, I'm not taking that stupid fish oil. Okay. Don't take your fish oil. And then just deal with the things that come with. Don't put gas in your car. Drive around for forever. Don't charge your battery tonight. My battery right here is already at 20% on my phone. I think I'll just not charge my battery tonight, and then I wonder what will happen. I wonder if tomorrow night when we did the show, I'd be able to look and see. Probably not. My battery would be dead, right? That's what happens in the same exact manner when it comes to that. Okay, let's move along because that's a lot of stuff. If you have questions, if you want me to go over your fish oil with you, just like what this beautiful lady just did, who's one of the hardest working people in her health that I know. She works harder. Almost everything she does, she works harder than anybody I know. So, but if you want me to help you with your fish oil, send me your text. 806-794-0400. I'll just tell you. I'll say, hey, you need to take 8 of these. Yeah. And so, oh, wow. Guess what? One of my guys that sends me a bunch of research, I didn't know this was on here. I have been so busy today since 6 o'clock this morning. I have not looked at my office phone. Leslie's been running the office. I have not looked at my office phone, but I have a guy that sends me research. And he sent me an article. And guess what the article, it says right here. This is the first time seeing it right here. Right there. Okay? Guess what it says? New UCLA research, omega-3 rich diet could be key to slowing cancer progression. The UCLA study found that a diet low in omega-6 and high in omega-3 fatty acids, along with fish oil supplements, can significantly slow the growth of prostate cancer cells in men opting for active surveillance, potentially reducing the need for future aggressive treatments. Researchers from UCLA Health Johnson Comprehensive Cancer Center have found new evidence that dietary changes may slow cancer cell growth in men with prostate cancer undergoing active surveillance. I told you, 2009. And then all of a sudden, here's the article in SciTech Daily by University of California, Los Angeles Health Science, December 13th, 2024. And here they come with the research that catches up with the stuff that we already know is true. And I did not set that up, I promise you. I just looked at it just now, and because he sends me all kinds of stuff. He's got all kinds of articles on here that he sends me, which are super awesome. And I tell him, just send them to me because I love all that stuff. But he sent that at 4:59 today, and I've been busy all afternoon. But that's my point. That's what I'm trying to. That's why I love Dan Murphy so much. He's way ahead of the game when it comes to this stuff. The whole world's going to catch up eventually. They're all going to figure out wrinkles, kidney disease, heart disease, liver disease, bone disease, whatever you want to name your problem. You need to take your fish oil. Okay, let's move along because there's another one I really think would be great to talk about tonight. If I can help you with that, please let me know. Please let me know. The other one I want to talk about is the way this whole thing works. Because it's so fun to me when a patient comes in that really does care about their health, and you teach them about their brain, and no one's ever taught them about their brain before. Like, we are older people. I don't know why. I didn't learn all this stuff when I was a kid. I don't know why the Master and His Emissary isn't mandatory reading for the entire planet. Everybody on the planet should read the Master and His Emissary book. This is the best. This is the Bible and the Master and His Emissary are the 2 best books I've ever read my whole life, and I'm still not even finished breaking this thing down because chapter 2 has taken me like 4 years to break down. I've finished the book, but I haven't broken it down. But this stuff is really sweet, right? So when you're brand new to the program, or you're brand new to what we're doing, and then all of a sudden you're just like, you're getting information, and it's like, wait, how does that work? What do you mean that? And so what we talked about today was we talked about brain function in the right side and the left side of the brain. And I don't want to rehash everything, but I do think if you could just kind of get a big picture of it, if you could get a big picture like right now, some of the things that we're going through, you may be going through some unknown situations. You may be depressed. I had several patients come into the office today with depression. One guy got adjusted, probably didn't, he's a nice guy. He probably didn't say 3 sentences the entire time he was in here. I said, "How you doing today?" He said, "I just need an adjustment." And then he just didn't even talk the whole time he was in the office. And I just said, I didn't talk either. I was like, all right, fine. I tried to talk to him and he wasn't interested in talking. And I was like, hey, I've been there before. He just wants an adjustment. So we gave him an adjustment and then he left. And I was like, awesome. So, but depression is a right hemisphere issue, your right side, the right side of your brain. You got a right side and you got a left side. Okay? The right side of your brain. What was the conversation I was having? I had one girl tell me she vaped today. She asked me what I thought about nicotine, and she told me she's 19 years old, and she's having all kinds of trouble, and she told me she vaped, and I was like, why do you vape? And I know why she vapes. She vapes because she's low on dopamine. She's low on dopamine. That's the same reason you eat sugar. That's the same reason you drink alcohol. That's the same reason you watch pornography. That's the same reason that you look at your phone for hours and hours and hours and hours and flip and flip and flip and flip and flip on Instagram and YouTube. It's the same reason, because it's dopamine driven. It's dopamine driven. It's dopamine driven. You get low dopamine. Why do you get low dopamine? Because you need power. You need power up and to the right and over to the left. The over to the left part is the part that satisfies your brain with dopamine. It gives you the anticipation that you need, the chemical that moves you forward. And when you get stuck over here in your right hemisphere, you will activate the right hemisphere of your brain. You'll activate it. Okay? When you activate it, it's going to do its job, right? If I activate my phone, if my phone is locked, and I activate it, bam, okay, now it's going to do its job because it's activated. So whatever its job is going to start to happen in your head. And its job is to look for things that are threatening. Look for a threat. Look for something that is negative, worrisome, worst case scenario. Nah, I don't know about this. Mistrust. Look for, threat. Nope. Like I heard a guy this weekend say, in a world full of darkness. And I'm like, half the world's dark and half the world's light. That's the balance of the world. The world is not just full of darkness. It's only half full of darkness, and the other half is full of light. You're only seeing the darkness. That's not the way that it is. That's the illusion that you're under because you're only looking for the worst case scenario. You're not getting the balance. You know what happens on the other side? The left side of the brain does not deal with threat. And if you do not deal with threat, if I gave you $50 million, let's say we won I think the Mega Millions is like $740 million. Let's say we won the Mega Millions tonight. I gave you a check. And I controlled everything for you. I said, hey, look, you don't have to worry about anything. No one on the planet's going to know that you have the money, but I'm just going to put in your bank account tonight an extra $50 million. I'm just going to put it in there. You're the only person that knows you have it, and you don't just... Really? Yep, I'm going to just give it to you tonight. What? Would you be a little more cheerful? Would it be possible that maybe you would be a little bit more cheerful? You might even have undue cheerfulness, right? That's what happens when we have too much activity in the left hemisphere of the brain. We get undue cheerfulness. Why do we get undue cheerfulness? Because we don't think anything is threatening to us. Nothing is threatening. I could just walk out here in the middle of the street and just start playing basketball in the middle of the street and not worry about anything. Because why would I be threatened? Because the right side is the one that says, dude, don't play basketball in the middle of the street. You're going to kill yourself. You might get run over. That's what happens in our right hemisphere. And then our right hemisphere sets off our sympathetic fight or flight response. And I'm going to get into this, but we have run out of time for the show. I'm really sorry. But we'll keep it right here. We'll pick it up tomorrow night, and we'll talk about the interface of the mechanics and nociception of joint pathophysiology. And that just means we'll talk about how your brain and your body talk to each other and what's going on inside your brain to help you when your brain and your body are trying to talk to each other. So, man, that was fun. I'm so glad we're back. I'm glad we're back. I'm glad we're live. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you got any questions, send me a text, send me a message, 806-794-0400. And other than that, you guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.